Okay guys, time for the recap video. First, let me be honest, I'm a bit bummed to lose in the semis with this deck. I thought that this was a really nice M14 draft deck that was developing quite nicely, especially once we picked up the opportunity. However, it's not to be, and that's kind of sad. I had to pre-record these episodes for you because I'm actually on vacation. So I would have liked to not end M14 on a loss in the semis, but I can't really pick the order in which these drafts appear, and I hope you liked the few episodes of M14 draft that I could bring you. Let's do a quick recap and see what decided the matches that we played, and of course the focus is going to be on our starting hands because they definitely had a big influence in what was happening. So we are leading 1-0 in game 1 in round 1. We are looking at this starting hand, and of course that is a clear mulligan, so we go down to 6 and it's another clear mulligan. We just have not enough lands, too many spells in our opening hands, so we go down to this, and that's not the hand that you want, but it has the lands and the divination, so everything is possible. And in fact, we don't even drop a single game in the first round because our blue-black control opponent puts a lot of effort into removing everything we do, but also plays cards like Frost Breath, maybe draws a couple too many lands. Overall, he just can't keep up with what we are doing. We even have opportunity to dig us out of the hole and save the day, basically. So the lesson of round 1 is definitely that mulliganing to 5 is not a death sentence. You can actually do quite a bit on 5 cards if the stars align. So in round 2 we are once again leading 1-0 and things are looking nicely to make the finals. And then we have this hand, and we know that our opponent is a red aggressive deck, and I think that this isn't a keepable hand in that case, so we mulligan to 0 lands. And then we look at this hand, which is actually once again pretty amazing for a 5-card hand. If we draw an island, we have 2 plays, and then the Messenger Drake is only a 4-drop if the Warden of Evos Isle survives. However, you all know what happened. In the end, we actually stabilize on 1 life against 31, so our odds are really slim, and we get shocked from the strong Brazil player who has at least 2 shocks and the Flames of the Firebrand. I mean, that was bound to happen. We couldn't realistically hope to win with such a life total discrepancy. Any trick was basically our spelling doom at that point. But there was a third game, so we could just win that one. I took an approach of drawing first, but then deciding on what my opponent was up to, whether I wanted to play first or draw first. And because our opponent was quite aggressive, I wanted to be on the play against him, but maybe that was a mistake, probably, maybe, I'm not sure. So we mulligan again into a 6-card hand because we can't cast our spells with this opening hand, and the 6 look like this. And realistically, even if we draw perfect lands, then Krolmer Folk followed by Claustrophobia, Rumbling Blood, Messenger is incredible, but if we draw a single land and then we miss land drops for a while, we are effectively doing nothing. So I don't think that this hand is keepable on the play. On the draw, it might have been keepable, so like I said, maybe it would have been better to be on the draw. Finally, this is the 5-card hand that we see. It's definitely playable, and it's definitely better than the previous ones, but in the end, the evasiveness and the power level of our opponent's cards is just too much, and the 2 shocks in the beginning definitely played a large role in that. So the lesson here is that it's possible to win on 5, but there are matches where the odds are just stacked against you and you just don't win, and that's perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with Magic. It's just how the cards work from time to time. I think it's still well, as long as your edge is reasonably large, then the 1 in 100 games where you mulligan to 5 multiple times and then lose because of that is a rare occurrence. So what could we have done differently? I think our deck turned up beautifully, but during draft, when I reviewed the draft, I realized that we passed a lot of shocks, and I think we made our semis opponent's deck better by the choices we made. We picked Deadly Recluse over Shock in pack 2, and then we picked Rumbling Baloth over Shock in pack 3. So I'm not necessarily sure that this was incorrect, but we definitely allowed a strong, cheap red deck to form with our decisions in the beginning. Later on, there was actually a third Shock that we passed for getting a Warden of Eva's Isle, which still makes sense. We wouldn't want to spend a pick hate drafting at this stage, but I think this is partly the reason why our opponent in round 2 had a pretty convincing deck and always had his shocks ready. This was what we had, and finally the last comment I have to make is that this should have been an 18 land deck. I was thinking that Scroll Thief and basically all the 3-drops, the Divination, but also the 2 Train Corners and the Warden of Eva's Isle would warrant playing only 17. But the amount of mulligans we took has me thinking that 18 would have been correct. Just going for 10 islands, 8 forests would have been a more reasonable choice. I like the green inclusion, I think that was correct, but Train Condor once again underperformed. Would have liked 18 lands, maybe even the Woodborne Behemoth in the main deck. And overall, I think the deck building process was just a tad too complex to decide and commentate on at the same time. Otherwise, I would have liked to come to slightly different conclusions, and who knows, that might have actually made all the difference in the world. However, it wasn't to be, but I'll survive. So yeah, that's my recap video, and that was also my last M14 episode. I'll be back from vacation when Theros is hopefully arriving on Magic Online, and then we can get those drafts done and recorded and new episodes of Simon Says for you. As always, I'm Simon Götzen, Simon Says at mtgoacademy.com, and I'm always happy to hear your feedback and your comments. So just post them below or wherever you want. I also read the YouTube comments, but I usually don't comment on them. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.